Hello ladies and gentlemen. For my edit today with Power Director, I'm going to try something different, and that is having two different video streams on the same video. The first stream will be of my Cessna 180 taking off from runway 27 at Bunurong Field, and the second stream will be me talking you through the takeoff. So here we are at the moment, just backtracking runway 36 and trying to avoid any cow poo that's on the runway. And then we line up on runway 27, do some run-ups, and then take off towards the west. The run-ups for the Cessna 180 involve bringing the RPM up to about 16 or 1700 RPM and then cycling the prop 3 times. So this takes it from a full fine to a full course position. You don't want to hold it full course for too long. As soon as you see about 250 or 300 RPM drop, that's enough. And this cycles the oil through the prop governor and makes sure that the prop is working the way it needs to. We then check the magnetos independently of one another, so checking the right mag and making sure that there's no more than around a 150 RPM drop, and checking the left mag in the same fashion, and also making sure that there's no more than around 50 RPM difference between the two. I next check the carby heat and make sure that that drops the RPM around 50 RPM. I don't actually use carby heat on this plane, or I've never had to date, but I think it's good practice to always check it and also make sure that it's locked into position so that you've got maximum power for takeoff. Recently I've been using 2 stages of flap for takeoff, and I find that that works a little bit better for me. 1 stage of flap doesn't really do a lot on the Cessna 180, it's only 10 degrees, so I find that 2 stages work well. So I'm bringing in 2 stages of flap at this point in time and making a departure call on the CTAF frequency of 127.0. For the takeoff roll, I initially feed the power in pretty slowly and just make sure that I'm tracking nice and straight up the runway, make sure I can feel the rudders and that they're responsive. And by the time that I bring all of the power in, not long after that, you need to push the yoke forward and bring the tail up. So it's a balancing act. You just want to bring it far enough up so that you can then just hold it in that position, and it will jump off the ground without needing to apply too much backward force on the yoke. And as soon as I'm up and flying, I'm getting the manifold pressure back to 24 inches and the prop back to 2400 RPM for the climb out, so that I'm not making too much noise in the area. On this particular flight, I forgot to set the QNH on the ground, so I knew I was at about 300 feet there, so I set it quickly, put away the 2 stages of flap, and turn on to crosswind. Also just putting in a bit of back trim at that stage just to take some of the pressure off the yoke, and already starting to lean the plane out. I know that I'm only going to climb it up to about 1200 feet for this particular flight along the coast, so I lean it out almost from the start, and still just sort of trimming it out just to help me with the climb out. And also, because I'm not climbing up to any sort of altitude, I put the cow flaps in at this height as well. Turning on to downwind, flying towards the RACV resort at Inverloch, and on the starboard side of the plane is Eagle's Nest, which is a pretty spectacular landmark on the Bunurong coastline. So flying towards where Anderson Inlet comes out and meets the open water, and then tracking down the coast towards Cape Lip Trap. I'm just quickly checking AvPlan and the METAR at Latrobe Valley. Latrobe Valley is the closest aerodrome with a METAR to where I keep my plane. Just because I didn't set the QNH on the ground, I'm just double checking what the QNH is on the METAR, and I think I cross-referenced that with Moorabbin as well, just to cross the T's and dot the I's there. And at this stage, I'd have it at 23 inches of manifold pressure and 2300 RPM. So once you're out of the climb and you're into the cruise, that's the optimum cruise for this plane. A friend of mine has me drinking Coca-Cola recently, so I never used to drink Coca-Cola, but it's actually quite tasty. All right, kiddies, I'll leave you there and see if I can edit these two videos and put a little screen inside of the big screen. That's all for now. We'll catch you next time.